Well, on Masters of Spin this morning, how did the bipartisanship of National Cabinet turn into a slanging match between state and territory leaders?
Just as Australians were full of praise for the way our political leaders had conducted themselves during the crisis, the show of unity came unstuck over the refusal of Queensland, Tasmania, South Australia, Western Australia and the Northern Territory to decide to reopen their borders.
It will hinder the nation. It will hinder our national economic growth and activity. There's no doubt about that.
Unfortunately, New South Wales and Victoria have that community transmission, and they have to get that under control before we allow visitors to come here.
I mean, New South Wales had the Ruby Princess. I mean, seriously? And they're trying to give us advice on our borders? Seriously? I mean, do you think I should listen to them? I'm not listening to them.
Hard to know what the benefit of this slanging match is. Joining us this morning to discuss advertising and marketing experts, Matthew Bywater, Jane Carrow. Good morning to you both. Matthew,
morning.
What are the motivations here, if we can break this down? Is it state leaders trying to re-establish their authority, or is this some sort of, I guess at its base level, a demonstration of state and territory rivalry?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to determine. I guess we look at the federal level, the chief medical officers say it's good for us to start opening up the borders. So maybe if state elections coming up this year, we know presiding governments have the advantage in times of crisis. I mean, maybe that. I like to look on the bright side and say that all this political point scoring, perhaps we're getting back to normal. So maybe it's a good thing in this.
Yes, getting back to normal. It's a shame, though, that things haven't changed. We can do without the slanging match, can't we, Jane?
Yes, I think so. Though I have some sympathy with the states that have now, I think South Australia's had 0 cases for a long time, and WA hardly any, Queensland much reducing, no community transmission. And, you know, Mark McGowan has a point when he says New South Wales had the Ruby Princess, and that does make it hard for other states to feel totally confident about loosening the borders. I think it's great that things are loosening up. I have to say I'm very nervous about a second wave. I really am. I can't help it. I hope I'm really totally wrong and off ball here. But I can understand the state's premiers thinking, we'll just wait a little bit longer. Erring on the side of caution, look, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. If nothing happens, you'll be damned because you didn't open up. If something happens, you'll be damned because you did open up. It's a really difficult position.
It's about striking the balance. It's a lot of people fearful, though, when we hear Queensland saying they might not open until potentially September. Let me ask you about another issue. Months of daily briefings. The chief and deputy medical officers are moving into, I guess, a new phase of communication using an advertising campaign. The key message here is stay COVID-free and do the 3. That's frequent hand washing, social distancing and downloading, of course, that COVID-safe app. Matthew, we didn't even know these people until the pandemic hit. Now they're really the faces of the public health campaign.
Yeah, and I really like the way they've changed tack by, not just Scott Morrison, not just Brendan Murphy, but we're actually moved across now and using these deputy medical officers. And when you look at these guys, they're pretty much an A-list team. We're respiratory specialists, they're infectious disease specialists. And I think it actually gives us a new edge as far as we've seen the other 2 guys front in the media every day, and we fall in that complacency trap of, we've seen this. Never got some fresh faces. I think it's a good idea.
Now, Janie, Dr Nick Coatsworth is the face of that campaign that we just saw. He's very impressive, isn't he? What do you think about him as the face of Australia's campaign?
Oh, fine. I mean, it's got to be an expert. I don't actually care much what he looks like or she looks like. I think it's got to be, as Matthew was saying, someone who really knows their stuff. This is serious. I think having an advertising campaign is a really fine idea. I do worry about getting rid of the 3:15 p.m. briefings, though, because I think when it's a briefing from an official person, first of all, it doesn't cost the taxpayers any money. Second of all, it gives it a level of gravitas and importance, and you should pay attention to this. We're very good at screening out advertising. I know this comes as a blow to all my fellow advertising people, but we have never been more skilled at not watching ads. And so I think doing just advertising, not a good idea.
I'm just wondering whether it is a good idea, though, to just do the briefings when there's actually something to say, so that it's really listened to, those briefings.
Yeah, we're getting saturation point now.
Yeah. Maybe, but I just think keep repeating the message.
And we know when people don't listen, it's like airline safety messages. They have to keep changing the script because people stop paying attention.
Yeah. All right, Janie, Matt, good to see you both, as always. Get warm, Jane. Well, coming up this morning, come dine with me from celebrities to the royals, the new food and wine club trend, helping